Hey everybody, this is George. I've reached a day that I've been putting off and avoiding for a while now. I'm working on the Metroplex Mark II, which is based on this 1968 Superlead, as everybody now knows. And this amp 12380, 79 serial numbers away from the most famous plexi of all, 12301. Obviously that's Eddie's #1 plexi. It's the one he played on every record his whole career. And his specs are just a little bit different. There are some idiosyncrasies, just some fluky things. It boils down to just 2 or 3 little spec things. It was inevitable at some point that I would build a prototype, something that replicated the sound of my amp, 12380, with these specs, and then ultimately be compelled to convert this to 12301 specs and run it through the audio analyzer, assess, collect data, and move on. So I've conjured a way to do most of this using clip leads, bypassing the speaker impedance selector. I can adjust the negative feedback. I can add the extra cap on the V2 cathode. The only thing that I can't do without interrupting a 55-year-old solder connection is account for a 50K mid pot. So most super leads, this one included, 25K linear middle pot. Mine measures exactly 25K, it's dead linear, so when it's at noon, you've got 12.5K ohms on each side of the wiper. Eddie's, just by happenstance, 50K linear mid pot. So the middle pot in the tone stack is the tone stack reference to ground. And so a 25K middle pot is going to reference the tone stack to ground, and it amounts to an attenuation of the signal. So it has a certain number of dB of cut to the signal. If you double that value to 50K, then you have several decibels less attenuation from the tone stack. More signal into the phase inverter and into the power amp, where all the real clipping and harmonics and dynamics happen. There's also a frequency shift. So if you simulate a plexi tone stack, look at the Duncan tone stack online, and you can pull up the stock plexi tone stack and edit the values. Now edit that 25K middle pot and make it a 50K middle pot. And you'll see that not only does the overall signal level come up, but the center frequency of the mid-range shifts. And so there is a signal level component to this, and there is a frequency component to this. And if you want to nail the specs of 12301, there must be sacrifices. So I'm contemplating. I've clipped in what I can clip in. I've made every change I can make, and it's decision time. Am I going to upset a 55-year-old solder connection on this middle pot, lift it from ground, and add 25K more resistance so that I can do frequency sweeps, and I can analyze and ultimately replicate? I think I know the ultimate answer. Now I just need the nerve to follow through and do it. So let's see. Between that terminal and that ground bus, and do my sweeps with the the 50K middle pot spec. You can see, let's see if I move this. You see very clearly here that Terminal 3 has the original red varnish in place. It's been there for 55 years, and I guess in the name of science and the pursuit of timeless tone, I've got to make the choice to put my soldering iron on there and disconnect it. You know what's strange? When I've done restoration work and I've had to interrupt vintage, solder connections that have been in place for decades, there's a certain smell to it. And a tech who works on old amps can tell you that they all have sort of a different kind of a smell, the different compositions of solders and things, the varnish. When you heat up the varnish and melt it, it has a certain smell to it. And it's noticeable. It's notable. So let's see. I'm going to put a soldering iron on here. I'm going to heat this up. I'm going to disconnect that bus wire, and I'll just have to describe to you what it smells like. Okay, not for nothing. Soldering iron, solder sucker. 55 years in the making. Let's hope this is worth it. I love this amp. It's melting. Oh yeah, I can smell it. Being as gingerly as I can here. Very distinct smell. Okay, the solder's off. Let's see if I can finagle the bus wire out. Those ladies at Marshall did an incredible job, I have to say. There it goes. Okay. Bus wire is free from the terminal. I'm just going to pull it up out of there. All right, it's free. I'll admit, I feel a little bit ill from that. It's gonna go right back in about 10 minutes. Okay, there you have it. Solder cleaned away, bus wire pulled away from the pot. I'll plug in an extra 25K and take some sweeps. Incredible. Scary.